I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to roll call. Chief of Staff Peterson, would you please call the roll?
Senators Anderson, Bollweg, Fry,
Here.
Christoffels,
Here.
Derenge,
Here.
Foley excused, Holland, unexcused, Katana,
Here.
Lopez,
Here.
Mollison,
Here.
Podell,
Here.
Roca,
Here.
Sharples Schmidt,
Here.
Shrestha,
Here.
Siva Cody,
Here.
Sleep,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Wallen excused, Warfa,
Here.
Diversity Liaison Alex,
Here.
Communications Chair Ringenberg,
Here.
Finance Chair Delahoyd,
Here.
Government Affairs Chair Hunt,
Here.
Chief of Staff Peterson here, Vice President Ciro,
Here.
President Spear,
Here.
AFA,
Here.
AISA, BSA excused, GSA,
Here.
Hero,
Here.
Honors College,
Here.
IRC,
Here.
LASA, unexcused, RHA,
Here.
Unified Council,
Here.
Unified Council,
Here.
UPC, unexcused, Advisor Bylander,
Here.
Advisor Schmidt,
Here.
Advisor Willis.
All right, moving on to adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to tonight's agenda? All right, is there a motion to approve? Senator Derenge. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adopting the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda is approved. Likewise with the minutes, are there any additions or corrections to last week's, or a couple weeks ago, minutes? Alright, is there a motion to approve? Senator Christoffels.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved. Alright, we will now move on to open forum item A, public comments. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the Senate tonight? Yeah. You can come on up if you're comfortable.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David, and I am the advisor for the International Relations Council. And the purpose of my visit tonight is to dispute the amount that was awarded to IRC in the funding marathon that recently happened. Reviewing the notes that were taken during that time, it seems that there were two main concerns that caused the decrease in the amount that we had asked for. The first reason being the makeup of IRC. The IRC is a group that I've often described as being an umbrella organization, but in retrospect, that is a misnomer. It's more along the lines of a funnel, where IRC comes and represents all of the groups and funnels those funds to the other organizations that have international students, but there's actually no connection between the IRC and those other international student organizations, other than asking for that money to give to those organizations. I'm not sure exactly why that is the established way of doing things. It's been like this since long before I got here, I think well over a decade. So that's just the system that I was given to work with. And I do think that there needs to be some reconsideration about how that works. And my plan in the future, my plan for the last few years actually has been to create more of a connection between each of the international student organizations and IRC so that we have more of that voice and more buy-in from each of those organizations. And we also get more of that communication so we know what's going on with those organizations, what they're planning on doing. So that's something that I do plan on doing in the future. Unfortunately, since I got here, we've had a lot of personnel problems and lost a lot of people. And so just the amount of work that has come with that has prevented me from being able to put more energy and more time into organizing that. So structure is something that we're definitely looking at for the future. I know that the IRC has already reached out to the presidents of each of the other international student organizations and is hoping to meet with them on Friday night. So that'll be a first step. And then from there, we'll move on to hopefully creating something more concrete between the IRC and the other organizations. The other problem that seemed to be noted was the inconsistency of the nights. I can say for IRC that this is actually the first year that IRC hasn't had a night for a while. They did have one in 2023, but that was right before I arrived. 2024, there was one planned, and that ended up being canceled due to a snowstorm. So they switched it to a different kind of event, so it wasn't actually an international night, but they tried to make up for all of the planning by doing something else that wasn't quite the same, because space on Sunday nights at the VPR is limited. And then last year, there was an international night. The reason why we didn't do one this year is because I am trying to get more organized with IRC, and so I was hoping to build a stronger board with better connections to the community, because what I've seen happen in the past is I create an executive board, they do international night, and then they go in their own separate directions. And so by postponing international night this year, my plan was to create a stronger group that there would start to be some continuity from executive board to executive board. Maybe we'd see somebody come in as a secretary and then move up to president or vice president, just so that we would have more of that knowledge being passed forward to each of the individual groups. So that was one of the reasons why we didn't do an international night this year. For the other groups, I know that the Nepalese Student Association, the Bangladesh Student Association, and the Indian Student Association have all been very consistent in doing their nights. The Chinese Association did have one last year. They haven't planned one this year because of that lack of communication, which I've already noted. I'm not sure exactly why that was the case, but again, going forward, hopefully we're going to have more concrete organization there. So that is being addressed, and that is something that we want to look at. Another point that was mentioned was that they felt that there was a high amount of community and non-student attendees to the nights and not many students. I looked at the numbers from a couple of nights before the last international night from ticket sales, and they were definitely mostly students that were purchasing those tickets. I went to Nepal night last night, and it's not official, but to my eye, it did look like there was more students there than there were community members there. And one of the points that was mentioned in this was that maybe ticket prices should be increased for non-student members. And I do understand why that seems appealing, but the tickets are already $20 to $22. I feel like the more that you increase that amount, we're going to see a negative return on the number of people who are interested in spending that amount of money to go to a night. If a community member has never been to a Nepalese Student Association night or Bangladesh night, I don't know that they would want to spend $30 when they don't know exactly what it is that they're getting. So I don't think that increasing the prices much beyond where they are right now is necessarily the best way, especially when prices for everything else is increasing at the same time. Sorry, let me get my head here. So the original amount that I was asking for was $30,000, which was the same as last year. And I do understand that that is a substantial amount of money. And I also understand the concerns of being awarded that amount of money, but not using it, because I do know that other organizations could also use those funds. So as a compromise, I would like to ask for $23,000 instead. This would allow us to maintain the amount of funding that was given to each of the student organizations this year for their nights and not see a loss there. It would give us a little bit of extra funding to hopefully see another night take place. I've already been told that the Papua New Guinea student organization is being pressured to hold their own night, and I'm really looking forward to making that happen and seeing that happen. And then finally, I just want to say that given recent events, I do think that it's very, very important that we have these international nights, whether it's the International Relations Council and like International Night in general, or Nepal night, or Bangladesh night. It's very important that these students be able to show off their culture, but that they also show the community that they're here and that they're part of the community and they're contributing. And so I think that cutting back funding too much and preventing that from happening would come for a loss for both SDSU, our international students, and the community in general. Thank you. Yes, sir. Sorry.
So I know you can't guarantee the other nights happening. Are you able to guarantee the best of your ability that International Night will happen this next year?
Yes. Yes. Yes, sir.
If you're willing to disclose it publicly, I remember in our conversations is that you guys had a large amount of money in savings.
Yes.
Do you have a number that you're willing to publicly disclose for that?
If I'm not mistaken, that number is close to 17,000, and that actually was a point that I planned on addressing. That is IRC's funds. So again, each of the student organizations is separate. So those funds are things that IRC has done in the past and saved up that money. It has no bearing on what amount of money might be in the accounts of the different organizations as well.
So you plan on just holding on to that 17?
That will definitely be used partly for an international night. Not in totality. By itself, it probably would not cover an international night. But in my original request, I was asking for more money for IRC specifically for international night, and I definitely cut that down to where they're getting the same amount as all the other student organizations, because I do understand that as a concern. Yes, ma'am.
So I know one thing that we did kind of mention was that there are independent student organizations that are kind of thriving by themselves. And the funnel is going through IRC and then it's going to the student organizations. So my question for you is that we have funds that individual organizations can apply for.
Right.
Why would IRC, going through IRC, support them more than just getting funds from the student association?
That's a good question, and I don't have an answer to that question. Like I said, I was given this system, so I'm not sure exactly what the relevance was in the past, why this was thought as the best way of doing it. I do think that re-envisioning that or seeing if it is indeed the best way to go forward is a good idea versus looking at a different way to do it. However, I would like time to evaluate that versus seeing all of these groups lose their funding for their different events because we don't like the way it's currently organized, if that answers the question. Yes, ma'am.
I'll also just add to that to say, you know, having been here 10 years and kind of seen how international nights work, our student organizations, like this year we don't have a China night, but last year we did. And so one of the reasons that those dollars are funded through IRC currently is because different organizations step up in different years to host international nights representing their country and their culture and their community. And so funneling those dollars through one stable organization that can then allocate them to the student organizations that plan to host international nights has been kind of a stabilizing method to ensure that funding was going to continue to go to international nights, but it would be based on student organization leadership stepping up and saying, I want to host an international night. So it really is kind of about stabilization of those resources so that regardless of which organizations raise their hand and say, I want to do an international night this year, they have funding available to allocate. So it was really a stabilizing method.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you guys very much.
All right, are there any other members of the public that would like to address the Senate tonight? Come on up, whatever order you guys choose. And feel free to take questions.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me be here. My name is Riley. I am the treasurer of GSA, accompanied with our lovely advisor and secretary. We have come up here tonight to dispute the fundings that we have received. After reviewing them and our annual events, we have concluded that the budget cut would not be able to sustain our biggest event, which is the drag show. The expenses that the budget that we earn would not even cover a fraction of our drag show. And even though our drag show is considered a funding event, we do sell tickets. We don't break even. But I did want to bring up some points. We do have a account on the side. We have around roughly $3,000 in that account, but we treat it as like a savings account, like for emergencies, like, or for expenses that SA will not cover. So we do not rely on this account as much because it's kind of like you put money aside in case an accident happens, like you break your phone or you get into a car accident. You don't want to be pulling out that so much because what's going to happen when it's all gone? Because we don't get any donors. All the money that we have in that account is just from the drag show, and that's been years built up of money. So that's something I wanted to address. But I did want to talk about GSA more as a whole and why we think we deserve more funding. For student impact, GSA is more than just a club on campus. It is a safe, affirming space for students who may not feel accepted elsewhere. For some students, this is the only place they can be themselves. Yeah, as you may know, the LGBTQ+ community is under a lot of heavy fire nowadays, and a lot of people don't feel safe, not even to come out. I'm sure there's many people here on campus are too scared to come out, and for our org to be here, we allow people to give them a sense of belonging. We have people who show up just because they feel safe. They may not be participating in what we offer at our event, but it's just the fact that we on camp, like we are an organization on campus, it creates a sense of safety, even if they're not doing anything. And GSA also helps teach students about the importance of advocating and how to advocate for themselves, their identity and needs. There are many people out there struggling, whether that be with depression, anxiety, and other ailments. We always offer multiple sources of like hotlines, on-campus resources, and all that good jazz. And for the impact of our drag show, in 2024, over 80% of the students that attended the professional drag show stated it was their first time ever going to a drag show. And it's very important for us to continue to host that particular event because during the school year, that is the only drag show that students would usually attend to. There is one in the summer that I'm aware of, but for the student body, this is the only show they could go to readily accessible, because if you want to go to a drag show, you would have to drive 40 minutes out to Sioux Falls, and level of entry is 20 plus 21 sometimes, or a little bit more expensive. But touching more on mental health and well-being, LGBTQ+ students face higher rates of mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, and isolation just because of the nature of the world we live in. It is sometimes people feel unsafe to be themselves, and bottling things up can create a whole lot of not fun worms. But GSA, our organization, we can help reduce this risk by building a community resilience and support networks. Because we also collab with other orgs on campus, such as LASA and BSA. We would love to create a nicely knitted community, especially in these trying times. For campus values, supporting GSA is a direct investment in the values of our university because, after all, the campus supports the inclusion of the student body. Everyone should be included, no? And with our club, we are able to let people be seen and feel safe. And with us being on campus, we have served over 450 students and staff so far this year, and we still have 3 more events. We have our paint and sip with LASA, we have our clothing drive that's going on right now, actually, and then we host a graduation for our graduating students. And our events are inclusive and educational. GSA programming educates the entire student body, helps reduce discrimination, increases understanding across campus, and creates more of a respectful environment. Like the drag show, you don't have to go, but stated, many people haven't gone to one. And for me, coming here, that was my first time going to a drag show. Because, hey, it's right here. I don't have to drive. I don't have to pay $20, and I'm 18. So it was a wonderful opportunity, and I would love to continue to be able to give that to the student body. And of course, it's a choice. You don't have to go, but it's still there. And perhaps for some people, it might be an opportunity to change their mind on how they view things. Open-mindedness is a very powerful trait to have. And to address more current changes going on this campus, for the past couple of years, there's been some changes that have been making some things a bit more difficult for the LGBT plus community. For example, the change of the university value from diversity to opportunity for all, and the transition from the multicultural center to the student engagement center. Because of these difficult but necessary changes, GSA wants to become increasingly visible and supportive of the students, not only within the LGBTQ plus community, but for those who support us as well. And for future growths, we want to keep growing by increasing membership, hosting additional events, and increasing attendance at current events. We have been steadily doing so for the past few years. In order to do this, we do sadly need more funding. I know it is a lot to ask, but especially you know, we don't know what the next year is going to look like with inflation and whatnot. But it's important for us to be able to keep doing these inclusive events on campus, and we would love to be able to do even more. Matter of fact, we would love to host guest speakers for an event, or even have a LGBTQ plus prom. Oh, that's a mouthful. And you begin additional networking and community service initiatives like, what's the Brookings Pride? Is it Brookings Pride? Mm-hmm. Like Brookings Pride, for example. We've met up with them before last semester. We just want to build up that networking. What's the amount? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I forgot for the amount to ask. So we were looking to ask for $3,500. This is predominantly for the drag show, because this year alone, the drag show was around $3,100. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that's not including like ticket sales. So that is why it is crucial for us to have that funding, because we just do not break even with the amount we earn from the drag show. Yeah, is there any questions?
Good? Yep. Any other questions for GSA? Thank you, guys. All right, are there any other members of the public that would like to address the Senate tonight? Come on up.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. For anyone who does not know who I am Mr. J, and today I want to talk on two subjects. The first subject is my role as an advocate and an advisor for BSA. And in this case, I want to talk about the funding. And that has been across the board in a lot of offices. And so I want to talk about BSA in terms of awareness and impact. There are a lot of events that happen within our office, often sponsored by the office. However, they are specific to culture. Example would be the Soul Food Luncheon, where the office carries the bulk of that financial responsibility financially. Last year, we fed over 250 people. And guess what? Most of them were not African American. This year, we fed over 150. Very few of them were African American. So what I'm speaking on this case is awareness of the culture of what it is and what it's about, and the impact that goes throughout the community. And I would say that not just for BSA, but for any of the affinity groups in the things that they do. LASA for Hispanic Heritage Night, or Paint and Sip, or Tie-Dye. All of those events, without a doubt, are not heavily attended by students of color. However, those events are the safe haven. If you've ever been to a BSA meeting, you could probably see the enjoyment that they're having in that space. So when we start talking about that funding, the things that we do oftentimes reflect community. And in this case, the African American community, that allows them to come together, maybe play a game or two, talk about business at hand, things they would like to do, but at the same time, enjoy a place and a space where they can actually be themselves. Cutting that funding eliminates that. And so this is the first year this funding cycle has come across for most of our organizations in our office. So last year that funding was allocated through our office. So it is different. And we do have some proposals in place to do better things like more fundraising, more collaboration and partnership. So we've just partnered with Cavs to bring in a national speaker because we couldn't fund it. We didn't have the funds to do that. And so that is a collaboration component, one of many to come. But the reality of it is, with the cut in funding, most things won't happen. I'm sure the Soul Food Luncheon will go on because that's funded by the office. I'm sure Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm sure all the events will happen, the drag show will happen, but they will not happen to the magnitude that they could be because we would not have the finances to do it the way it should be. And that's just the financial component. That's not even the community component. And so I heard GSA talk about the impact of community. I want to talk about our community meetings for a second. And so oftentimes we try to do those culturally. And so what happens culturally in that is the community comes, not just the SDSU campus community, but the Brookings community comes. And so those are pieces that people are interested to see in what's going on. So again, the impact there of the financial cut is huge, and it will be huge. We will feel the difference this time. And I will say that the speaker that we're bringing in on the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st, the budget that we've just been allocated, BSA could never do that. And that is not even the amount that would be traditionally given for a speaker of that level or magnitude. So with that, my request is the increased funding. I'm not going to give the amount because the treasurer is not here to ask for that. But I will always advocate for BSA because I am the advisor. The second piece I want to talk about hits me hard. And I'm hoping it hits you half as hard as it hits me. Anybody got any idea? Well, before that, anyone have any questions about BSA funding? Yes.
So I'm taking a look at this and I'm noticing that with your organization, you were originally asking for 5,000, correct?
Correct.
And I just, as I'm looking at some of these other numbers, I mean, I totally see how, like with GSA and yeah, some of these other organizations, I can see how like the cost is a lot different. Or what you're requesting would be a lot different than our recommendation. And I'm just curious about how, like, do you ever plan on seeing like is $5,000 like what would be ideal for you, or is that the minimum to keep BSA running with the amount of like prior like needs that you've had this past year, or are you even looking to expand?
Great question. Let me rephrase that question for you. BSA needs to step up their game. And so in the request for that amount of money funds, what is it exactly that BSA would do? Well, we would do more. We would bring in speakers specifically, in this case, cultural specific to Black History Month. We would have more events culturally specific to a collaboration. And so that dollar amount requested would allow that. Granted, prior to this request, what BSA has done is they have come together and they have done some things, but not to the magnitude that we hope to do it at. So I'd hope that would answer your question.
Right, yes, absolutely.
Next. I need to hit heart buttons now. Does anyone in this room not like me? And if it's okay if you do, but I would definitely appreciate honesty. I will not be hurt and I would not be offended. And you don't even have to. Or have you seen me specifically intentionally harm or hurt anyone, not just in this room, but on this campus? So you know where I'm going now, right? So given the chain of events that has happened in the last 3 weeks, and given the chain of events of this cabinet since I have been here has been amazing. I got here in 2022, and the SDSU Student Association has been the top association in the entire state of all using to do something about it. As the leaders of this institution, you guys are the game changers. You guys are the shot callers. I'm going to student conduct. You all could vote to make that change. You all could put those things in place that says that behavior is also unacceptable and intolerable. And if you wasn't doing it for yourself, you'd be doing it for those who look like me. Let me get personal. At 10 o'clock at night, the officer's not going to know the difference between that guy in that purple shirt and me. Or that guy who's been drinking. And they're not. And so to endure that, especially for me, when I seen that video, to endure that, after the walk that I walked, is crazy in 2026. And it happens everywhere. God help me. I don't think it's ever going to end. And that's a shame. But what I do believe, committees like this in higher education have the potential to make that change. And here's the icing on the cake. SDSU Student Association has done some of the first things ever in this entire state out of all of these higher education institutions. And so my goal here today is that you guys would visit this thing that has happened, this horrible, horrific thing that has happened, and that you would figure out how on the campus of SDSU, that's unacceptable. How to figure out as a member of this institution, whether you're in swag or not, whether you're on campus or not, you are an example of this university no matter where you go. That's what I'm saying. Even if you're an alumni, that you all would figure out to say that is unacceptable behavior. We have it in policy, and we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again. And if it does, We're gonna own it. And we're gonna work to get better at it. Questions? Lastly, silence is just as bad. Do something and something happens. Do nothing and nothing happens. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to address the Senate tonight? No? Alright, we'll move on to committee and staff reports, beginning with my own. Government Affairs Chair Hunt will talk about this a little bit more in detail when her report comes up. But for those that did not go to SHED, or Students for Higher Education Day, in January, you are required to go to a Board of Regents meeting. I believe I talked to all of you individually, but if you're not aware, I have Senator Warfel, Wallen, Holland, Sharple-Schmidt, Derenge, and Foley that did not attend SHED or Board of Regents meeting last semester. So, as this is a requirement in the Code of Conduct, or in the Code of Ethics, as well as in your duties as a senator, you are expected to go to one of these events. This year it is on April 1st. Just to give you guys a little backstory, if you haven't been to a Board of Regents meeting, it's usually a more informal, still business professional, but more informal social gathering meeting on the Wednesday night, normally around 5 o'clock. And then bright and early at 7 a.m. usually is when the actual Board of Regents meeting will start. That takes about 4 hours, but usually we are able to kind of funnel in what we need to be there for and what we don't need to be there for. So for those that I listed off, again, Senators Warfel, Wallen, Holland, Sharple-Schmidt, Derenge, and Foley, please go to Government Affairs Chair Hunt after the meeting, and I need a verbal, yes, I'm going to be there. And if I haven't said the date, it's April 1st. So April 1st and 2nd. April 1st is the Wednesday, April 2nd is the Friday. We will be providing Thursday, oh my gosh. We will be providing motor pool vehicles that I need to book like yesterday. So if you guys could please just, yes, I am going to this. And if you are not going to this, then you need to come talk to me and we need to figure something out. In addition, every year we do end of year awards. So we do kind of 2 separate awards, or it's 6 separate awards, but 2 separate categories. We do Senator of the Year, and then we do Ex Officio of the Year. That'll be internal ex officios. We do welcome you guys to vote. So as you guys probably all saw, you should have gotten an email at 7:30 with that link. I really need everyone to fill that out by 2 p.m. tomorrow. This will be sent in the minutes as well, but essentially this is for ex officios that have really spoken well and represented well, spoke out when they've been needed, representing their population, and then as for senators, just really advocating and doing what at large or for their college represents what a Senator of the Year means. And then in addition, university-wide awards, we do Professional Academic Advisor of the Year, Student Organization Advisor of the Year, Faculty Advisor of the Year, and then Campus Partner. You can find all of those on our website under awards, but we'll be coordinating with the Office of Student Affairs to get an email sent out in one way or another. However, I would encourage all members of the university to look at those forms and nominate someone in those respective categories you feel has had a really good impact on your time at SDSU. And that is all I have. Vice President's here.
Perfect. It's election week. The ballot will be opening up tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., closing at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. So make sure everybody votes. You'll be getting sent the link, I believe. We'll have it on our Instagram. It'll be up on stories everywhere. It is the same link as last year, so if you know what it is. I believe they posted something on My State as well, kind of having some more information about it. I did post or send you guys all an email with a link to a Sign Up Genius. I'd like 2 to 3 people to help staff, at least one person, but 2 to 3 ideally to help staff Market Stage tomorrow and Wednesday for the in-person voting booth. I can do it most of the time if I skip all my classes, but I'd rather not do that as I have labs and I have a job interview tomorrow, so I don't really want to skip that. So if you guys could all check your schedules tonight, help out for an hour, 2 hours, whatever you have. If nobody shows up, you could be doing your homework on the side. It's just to help kind of supervise, making sure, you have to make sure they get signed in themselves, on the My State portal, cast their vote, and then reset it basically back to the sign-in page, and just kind of help, overlook that, to make sure it's fair. So if you could, please sign up for a time for that. The at-large applications are open as of today. They'll be closing 5 PM on April 7th, which will be the Tuesday after we get back from spring break, or not spring break, Easter break. So there's a couple week period for that. And then we're gonna be doing the interviews later that week. So that way we can swear in all the new at-large senators at the same time as, everybody in the general election will be. Make it a lot easier. And I met with the provost and vice provost last week. They gave us kind of some of the results of the climate survey, pretty much about the same. Amount of people filled it out as last year, only about 6%-ish of the student body, students filled it out. But you do have an opportunity to make that grow in another survey. The NSSE survey is open to seniors and freshmen, so if you're one of those, fill it out. I don't think you'll probably have been emailed it if you're a sophomore or junior, but I have it, I'm working on it, it's pretty easy, you push buttons. You don't have to type much yet, so, please check your email for that NSSE survey. Otherwise, that's all I have, make sure you vote tomorrow and check out the Sign Up Genius, thank you.
Chief of Staff Peterson. Remember to vote in the election. There was a post that went on the Instagram today with everyone running, so if you're curious, you can go take a look at that. End of report.
Finance Chair Delloy.
I've just been working with the budget and then working with those clubs that wanted to come and dispute their allocated amounts. So that's all I've been doing in the report.
Government Affairs Chair Hunt.
Yeah, Student Promotion Fund Committee met the Wednesday before spring break. We funded 2 organizations. We funded Equip Campus Ministries for their event that happens April 9th and April 11th. And then STC Rodeo Club also came, so we funded their Jackrabbit Stampede, which is April 10th and 11th. Like President Spears said, the Board of Regents meeting is next week. It's at Dakota State University, which is in Madison, so it's not too far away. And again, those who did not go to SHED, please talk to me about whether or not you are going to the Board of Regents meeting. It is a excused absence, so you don't have to worry about that at all. And then Student Federation elections are coming up as well, so it's Executive Director and then Vice President and President. If you have any interest in running for it, please let me or Vice President Sierra know, and we can get you in contact with who you need to get in contact to. End of report.
Communications Chair Greenberg.
The RAD report was sent out this morning. I attended and live streamed the general election Q&A this morning. And then I'll also be helping with the voting booth tomorrow and Wednesday. And as Vice President Sierra said, please sign up if you're able to help. End of report.
Diversity Liaison Alex.
Yeah, big shout out to Senators Roca, Paudel, and Tresta for attending Nepal Night last night. It was really, really fun. Food was amazing, performances were amazing, and Roca's emceeing was also amazing. There will be a community meeting next week, as Mr. J mentioned previously, with Dr. Phipps. It'll be March 30th in the American Indian Student Center from 2 to 3:30. Phipps will be talking about how transformative food systems work and how her experience in that field has helped her explore different avenues and just, yeah. And I will also be helping with the voting booth tomorrow, and like they also mentioned, please sign up if you're available. End of report.
Moving on to ex officios, AFA.
Yeah, we kind of have a busy week this week. And on the 25th, we'll have the firehouse in the Union, serving any service members or veterans sandwiches from 11 to 1. We will not be having our Thursday meeting because we as a club are going to do security for ZZ Top concert on the 26th to get some funding for the club. And then the last thing is March 26th through
April 2nd. We have hid a bunch of camo eggs around campus, so find one, come in on the weekdays from 8 to 5 and get a prize. End report.
AISA.
We also have a pretty busy week. This weekend is our Wachipi. It's free general admission. So grand entry is on Saturday or at 1 p.m. and also at 7 p.m. and then again on Sunday at 1 p.m. And so it'll be in the VBR. And then also in the VBR is the first Indigenous fashion show here at SDSU at 5:30 p.m. And there will also be an Indian taco sale on Saturday. So we'll be having a raffle basket that has up to $500 worth of items, but you have to be present at the Wichita to claim it. And so we actually need volunteers. If any of you guys are interested in volunteering, please let me know and then get you signed up. End report.
BSA. GSA.
This week we will be beginning to discuss our officer elections, and then the week following April 1st, instead of doing it on April Fools, we are planning to do our officer elections. End of report.
Honors College.
We do also have a busy week at the Honors College. So I'm gonna throw a lot at you here, but tomorrow, at 7:30 in the morning to 10:30, grab a breakfast in Honors Hall, a little pick-me-up to the first week back from spring break. And then on Wednesday, the 25th, from 5 to 6:30 p.m. in the Honors Hall lobby and basement is a Honors Spring potluck. So there's a taco bar, sounds like it's gonna be a good time and good food, so please join us then. And then on Thursday, the Honors College Student Organization is hosting a Dairy Queen fundraiser. So go get ice cream on Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. 20% of our sales go to our HCSO account, so we'd really appreciate your support. End of report.
Hero.
We have our next event tomorrow at 7 p.m. in the Pioneer Room. We're making pipe cleaner flowers to deliver to the nursing home, and then we're gonna do our officer elections tomorrow. Your report.
IRC.
So last night was Nepal night. Very, very successful turnout. About 400 people attended that I heard from their president. And also this Friday, the IRC board will be meeting with all the presidents, all the international student associations to better our communication and see how we, the IRC, can step in and assist with whatever they need help with or programs and report.
LASA. RHA.
We had an executive board retreat today. All Olympics are scheduled for Friday. End of report.
Unified Council. Unified Council. UPC.
So last week we held Petals and Pours, and that was really great. We had around like 125 students attend. We currently have our March Madness bracket challenge going on, which students filled out a men's and women's bracket, and first place gets $100. And then this Friday, March 27th, we are taking students down to escape rooms in Sioux Falls. And so you do need to sign up for this since there are limited spots, and you can sign up through QR codes on our posters around campus for that. And then we also wrapped up our interviews last week for coordinators, so hopefully by next week we'll have our coordinator board for next year all confirmed. End of report.
Moving on to advisors, Advisor Bylander.
Nominations for the Lead State program are open right now. If there are any current freshmen or current sophomores who have not participated in Lead State and you are interested in participating in Lead State, let me know and I can add you to my nomination list. End of report.
Advisor Schmidt.
Yeah, good luck on the elections. I don't know how many are contested, so that's okay. Vote anyways, we gotta get up there. We'd like to see more than at least 10% of the student population vote. And I'd also put in a plug for volunteering for the Wichipi Before Children, BC. I used to be really active with the club. It was a Native American club at the time, and I volunteered for a few years and really found it really enjoyable. It was a lot of work. We would be up till late setting up the basketball room at that time, Frost and stuff. But if you have an opportunity to do that, I think it's gonna be really rewarding to work the day of the event and help set up. And if you're lucky like me, they let you dance fancy shawl, which if you know what that is, not, it's kind of comical for a guy to do that, but I got out there, so I did that. And then the second thing is, as you guys are maybe debating today, I don't know where this whole finance thing is gonna go, I just wanna remind the ex officials that you are eligible to participate in the debate. So don't be afraid to speak up, you don't have to sit on the sidelines if there's a debate going on and it's relevant to your organization, make sure that you're chiming in for them, that's part of your role as ex officios. End of report.
Advisor Willis? First off, I would like to echo diversity liaison Matilda Alex's kudos to Nepal Night. You did a wonderful job. Both my husband and I thoroughly enjoyed the evening. The emceeing was fantastic. Got lots of chuckles, and the dancing and the music was amazing, as was the food. So thank you for bringing that to campus and continuing that wonderful tradition. Second, I would like to share in the Rabbit Report, we promoted something that's a little bit new, and that is Jack Stand Together. And so Jack Stand Together is going to run through the end of the semester and is led through the Division of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. And really the focus is to build community, focus on safety and respect as well. And so collectively, Jack Stand Together is to remind us that to see one another, to learn from each other, and to support each other. And so you will see some collaborations between Title IX EO and the Division of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. If you have a chance to participate in a Cup of Prevention or Decorate Denim with some really nice and supportive messages, you can write messages on some coffee sleeves that will then be on your union coffee that's handed out that you purchase throughout the month of April. Or Decorate Denim is focused on writing supportive and respectful messages that we will be posting all around campus on those denim pieces during the month of April. We also will have some listening lunches from noon to 1 in the Jackrabbit Room, which is just outside of the Bullstorf Ballroom, with division leadership to encourage students to come in and visit with us, tell us what's on your mind, what you'd like to see at SDSU, whatever you want to talk about. We are also glad to share our experiences as well, so if you want to learn a little bit more about the leadership in our division, please come and stop by. We also will have some programs. So What's in a Knapsack is being presented by Dr. Erin Lavender Stott, who's an associate professor in our College of Education and Human Sciences. And the focus of this workshop is to guide participants towards understanding the impacts of group identity and social locations when they interact in society. And so an opportunity to engage on that, around that on March 31st from 6 to 7 in Jack's Place. We have National Sexual Assault Day of Action on April 1st. That's a day to wear teal clothing. And so remember teal clothing a week from Wednesday on April 1st. We will have some bystander to upstander training on campus, and that will be on April 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. We have specifically identified evening times that are more accessible for students instead of daytime programming. So hopefully you'll attend that April 16th to learn how to be empowered to become an advocate for others and use those skills. We have a workshop on April 28th called Crafting Narratives Together from 6 to 7:30 in Lewis and Clark. And that is really about helping to understand narratives really shape the world and help us to understand the world around us. That will be presented in partnership with the Brookings Human Rights Commission. Denim Day, Wear Your Denim on April 29th. That's an international event to communicate that sexual assault is not tolerated. So wear denim to show your support. Also on April 29th, we'll be doing a unity walk starting at 6 p.m. in the Hobo Day Gallery. A couple of other things that are still in the works are some opportunities to engage with University Police Department with Coffee with a Cop. So look for some opportunities to be communicated where you can come and engage with our UPD officers and get to know them a little bit better. We'll have some communication skills workshops that that Communications and Journalism is working with us to develop. Those workshops will be really around evidence-based approaches to communicating across difference, engaging and challenging conversations, listening for understanding and partnering with conflict with forgiveness. And then our counseling department is also working on some things to collaborate. So keep your eye on the Rabbit Report. Encourage you to participate and engage and learn learn from one another. That's what this place is all about, is learning. And so I hope that you'll take advantage of those opportunities to learn and participate and Jack stand together. In the report.
Committees I would like to report out tonight. Senator Shrestha.
So RSCA committee met before spring break on March 11. The meeting focused on strategic elevation of SDSU's research profile. The main primary takeaway from the meeting was SDSU is going to open up the competitive PhD fellowship of graduate students that would support their assistantship. Also, the graduate students have a newer opportunity to collaborate with the industry, such as Avera Health Institute. This is in line with SDSU's aim to be R1 university and a free one.
Committees I'd like to report out. Senator Sleep.
For Lamb Lead, Little Eyes this weekend, the 27th and 28th, so I will be showing this weekend, so if any of you are around this weekend, that will be taking place at the arena. And I will be going for Students Association for Lamb Lead, and the sheep's name for Advisor Bylander is Meryl Sheep.
Yes. Yes.
Meryl. Wish Meryl the best.
Any other committees I would like to report out tonight? Diversity Liaison Alex.
The Student Success Model Steering Committee met right before spring break on March 13th. We talked in kind of just like work groups. We kind of redefined or tried discussing what the definition of student success meant to each individual. We talked about what works well within student success here at SDSU, what feels incomplete or outdated, what outcomes should define success for students here at SDSU, and just how to work with the definition and how to find ways to just kind of find ways to help see why like students aren't just meeting the goals that they want to meet here at SDSU.
Other committees to report out. All right. Are there any questions for any of the reports tonight? All right. We will move on to unfinished business item A, the general budget recommendation. Chief of Staff Peterson, would you please introduce this item? Just want to give everyone a heads up, we are going to go through lines and verbally say what we're funding, just so everyone's on the same page.
The Finance Committee voted and approved both a contingency and a preferred budget for fiscal year 27, which runs from July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. Two budgets were prepared this year pending the South Dakota Board of Regents approval of the proposed 2026 SDSU GAF reallocation. The first budget seen below is the contingency budget, where the Finance Committee funded a total of $388,985 out of the $389,620 available without the approved 2026 GAF reallocation, allocating $635 into the UAFBC reserves. SDSU and the South Dakota Board of Regents approved a 2 cent inflation increase for the Unit 3 budget for fiscal year 27. This increase brought the total GAF allocation for Unit 3 student organizations from $1.52 to $1.54. The preferred budget approved by the Finance Committee is to be used if the South Dakota Board of Regents approves SDSU's proposed 2026 GAF reallocation, which gives an additional 18 cents to the Unit 3 student organization budgets. The preferred budget allocates additional money towards the speaker, new venture, and special allocation funds, using the full $435,160 allocation, allocating $0 into the UAFBC reserves. Any questions or concerns should be directed to Finance Chair Delahoyd. American Indian Student Association allocated amount $8,250. Armed Forces Association $1,900. Best Buddies $640. Formula SAE $9,500. Gender and Sexualities Alliance $1,950. Helping Everyone Reach Optimal Health $1,900. Hobo Day Committee $7,150. International Relations Council $15,000. KSDJ $9,500. Little International $5,000. Quarter Scale Tractor $5,000. Rodeo Club $3,000. JTech $7,000. ITE $800. Robotics $2,400. Bioethics Society $150. Aerospace Club $20,000. Baja Desert Hair Off-Road $4,000. Jack's Cupboard $600. Pheasants Forever $5,000. American Society of Civil Engineers $5,000. Flying Jacks $18,000. Latin American Student Association $3,000. Black Student Alliance $1,500. Catholic Jacks $2,500. Cafes Prexy Council $4,000. University Program Council $130,000. Students Association $44,705. In the contingency budget, the speaker fund is allocated $15,000. The special allocation fund is allocated $8,500. The new venture fund is allocated $2,500. Student connection and engagement is allocated $45,540, and $635 would go into reserves. In the preferred budget, the speaker fund is allocated $30,000. The special allocation fund is allocated $37,175. The new venture fund is allocated $5,000. Student connection and engagement is allocated $45,540, with no money being put into reserves.
Is there a motion? Finance Chair Delahoyd.
I move to approve this on behalf of the Finance Committee. Including the direct allocation of 18 cents to the Student Connection and Engagement Center.
All right, Finance Chair Delahoyd, you have the first right to debate.
I'm first gonna just explain for the three clubs that came, our general notes, just from Budget Marathon, so that everybody's kind of on the same page here for those of you that are not in the Finance Committee. So for International Night, when they came and presented, they told us that it costs about $5,000 per night that goes on, not including International Night, which is a little bit more expensive. They revealed that they have $17,000 in reserves, and the committee had talked about how they wanted them to spend some of those reserves that have been there for several years, they said. And so that was their concerns with IRC. For GSA, the committee presentation notes, the drag shows their primary fundraiser, and they pull from reserves for the deficit. The committee notes were funding for student labor and events, concern about not needing to fundraise. Comment was made during presentation. And then their funding notes is that the committee wanted to fund some of the drag shows. For the drag show, they wanted to fund the student labor and supplies. And then the last one for BSA, their presentation notes, they host open mic, paint and sip, and transition has been on an uphill battle. Their notes from the committee was a penalty due to their first presentation being minimal effort. And so then they first came to Budget Marathon. They presented a presentation that was pretty much all blank. They didn't have any of their paperwork ready. And so for that, when they came back the second time with all their stuff put together, they were one of the only clubs that came back the second time. Then they had it all put together. And so the committee had just kind of discussed addressing a penalty there just for the fact that they were not prepared that first time. And so that is the reason for BSA's a little bit lower. One last thing I'll explain as the finance chair, for the Student Connection Engagement Center, you see a number of $45,000 up there. That's not necessarily quite accurate. That's what it is currently with our allocation. What it really is an 18-cent per credit hour allocation, and so that'll vary each year. So as SDSU grows, that number will actually increase each year, but that is a permanent allocation that we will not touch in future years, similar to like our athletics one where we pay to be able to get students in for those games and everything for free and kind of those things. So it'll be one of those that we won't see in future years. So this will be the last time, unless somebody really felt passionately about it, that we will see the Student Connection Engagement Center on our budget to be voted on each year. So with that, I end my discussion.
Further discussion. Senator Bollig.
I move to amend line item GSA by striking out 1,950 and inserting 1,000 for that extra 950 going into the special allocation fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been motioned to, correct me if I'm wrong, GSA's line item would read $950 and $1,000 would go into the special allocation fund.
Incorrect.
Other way around?
Yep.
Okay, wait.
1,000.
$1,000 from the special allocation fund would go into,
No.
okay,
1,000 stays with GSA, 950 goes into special allocation.
okay.
GSA's line would be 1,000.
Okay. GSA's line would read 1,000. Discussion on this amendment. Senator Bollig.
Yeah, this is not about the mission of the organization as itself. Every student group deserves respect and ability to operate. This is about accountability, transparency, and fairness, and how we allocate these limited student dollars. And we have a responsibility as a student senate to make sure every student dollar is justified in what we're funding. According to the budget marathon minutes, I looked into and to echo off of what Dominic Deloyd, yep, we'll go with that. They explicitly stated they do not need to fundraise because Student Association fully funds them. Kind of got me thinking a little bit. That sets a very dangerous precedent. No organization should be fully dependent on SA without putting in effort themselves. Other clubs are expected to fundraise. We need to apply that standard equally. Student Association funding should be supplement, not a substitute for effort. As the speaker said today, they currently have 3,000 in reserves. When a club has that significant, a club of their size has that significant amount in reserves, it's reasonable to expect them to use those funds before requesting full support from students who are paying into this. And we shouldn't be stockpiling student money in accounts while asking for more from the students themselves. Their presentation that they came in was 2 slides, if I recall. I was on it. Lacked clarity and preparation. They admitted their numbers were not accurate numerous times. That alone should give us a little pause on this. And I'll pass these sheets around here. There was $4,850 labeled to other, which is not an acceptable level of detail when we are allocating these funds. We do not know what other is in there, and I was not able to get an answer on what other is. If somebody could give me that, it helped me with this. And transparency isn't optional when you are asking for the student money. To echo that again. Yeah, there's been some claims that fundraising opportunities are not the same for this group. I beg to differ. I did a quick Google search and there is state, regional, and national funding sources, including grants like the GSA Network Youth Freedom Fund, who gives 500 mini grants like that. It was what I kind of found out. There's also local foundations, merchandise sales, and traditional fundraising methods that can be used or applied to this club that they seem to be lacking. The opportunity is there, it just requires the initiative. Fairness to other clubs is my final point here. Many organizations, as we've seen this year with the special allocation fund coming in, they put in significant effort fundraising and still come to SA with detailed, transparent budgets. It's not fair to those groups if we fully fund another organization that isn't meeting those same expectations. This is about fairness across the board. I am not singling anybody out. We are not cutting them off by any means. We're asking them to meet the same standards we expect from every other student organization.
Senator Bolweg, I just wanted to clarify, I did get a follow-up email
Okay.
after that first presentation from GSA's advisor. It did simply say that they've had elder members from their executive board that have been managing the finances do that presentation, and it was not transitioned forward, and the advisor was sick that day. That is the email I got. She did say that they would be willing to sit down and talk about the presentation. However, because budget marathon was the next week, they simply did that during budget marathon. And if you're unaware of that $4,000 Finance to Delahoyde, I think it would be adequate to label where that's going. The $4,000 of other, because that presentation was changed during the actual budget marathon.
I was not aware of that.
Well, that's pulled up. Maybe we'll I believe on they don't have another column. Okay, so kind of just general consensus is that that presentation was updated for Finance Committee. Just wanted to get that. Further discussion on Senator Bolweg's amendment. Senator Bryan.
I don't understand the need to take more money from them when they were just here asking for to review whatever we already allocated, like we allocated way less than what they asked for already. I don't know why the $900 is a necessary thing to make it more fair to other clubs. We didn't fund their entire ask anyway. I don't understand it personally.
Senator Mollison.
I'd like to add on to that, especially looking at some of these other clubs that I've actually even been on the executive board of one of these, knowing that some of these clubs are being funded a lot more, and seeing that I know for a fact at least one of these is doing just fine without SA funding. And especially after hearing the GSA's comments today, I really don't understand why we would cut it more, especially when they are such a large prominent organization here. They have a spot within the student engagement center. I'm confused as to why that would be decreased even more, especially looking at other years. We have allocated, like, looks like in 26 we had just over $4,000 for them. So I just don't see a good reason to cut it even further for allocation.
Senator Bolweg.
I guess to answer some of the questions, each and every one of these clubs could have came in and asked for more money. It's pretty hard to look on this sheet and find where we didn't cut what the request was. I think that's typical. A club's gonna come in, they're gonna ask for more, knowing that we're gonna cut them anyway. So that kind of clears that up on that end. It's my rebut to that.
GSA ex officio.
For the numbers that we've been looking at, we already had a 54% cut from our previous year. Compared to our smaller decreases from our previous years. The reason that we have come up spoken today is because our initial decrease was so great in comparison to our previous years that we've been allocated. And we found that it was very abrupt, and it was something that we were not prepared for, and we did not find it very just reasonable for our organization to get over a half amount deducted from our original amounts that we've gone before. And because for the numbers that we're looking right now, it's only going to sponsor for our venue, and the drag show is very pricey enough to pay for our performers who are also there. And this would only cover our Bolster ballroom rental, essentially.
Further discussion on this amendment. Finance Chair Delahoyde, before we continue, I just wanna, because this is gonna be more of a longer debate, we are gonna do the 2 arguments per business item. 2. It's 2 per business item, so because we're on this motion right now. That being said, if you have something else to add, we will not cut you off. However, keep that in mind that you only get 2 per. Yeah.
That's according to Robert's Rules of Order, so you only get 2 discussions per motion.
These two. Finance or Delaware?
I'm just gonna say, I guess some of our discussion that we were talking about, during budget committee, or something to note. The one reason for there such an decrease in funding this year is it's our first year of applying the 50% rule to them. So when we passed our budgeting philosophy, we said that we don't wanna fund any specific club more than 50% of their total budget. Our only exception to that is our own budget and UPC, just because of the nature of those. And so we decided this year that it would be fair to start implementing that to GSA, LASA, and BSA, as those are just student organizations that are the same as all other student organizations. And so that is one reason why you're seeing such a decrease, is we went from funding them 100% to funding them within our 50% rule. So just some numbers, for some accurate numbers, since I know that presentation wasn't. They get $1,500 per year from the drag show, and that is their only source of income. So even as it sits now, we are still technically higher than 50% of their budget. But just as a note, that is their only other source of income, is the $1,500 from the drag show, and that is the reason for such a decrease in the amount.
Further discussion. Senator Bry.
The whole point of funding more clubs was to have more events on campus, to have more engagement. And I mean, the drag show, I went to it, I thought it was a great opportunity. I don't think it's nice, the fact that we have funded them in the past for this like big event that they put on, and now it's like we take even more money from them. It doesn't make sense. I mean, it's a good event to have on campus. Like, as they said in their presentation, you don't really see that around here, like not for the price point that they put it at, and it's a good opportunity for students. And the motion right now of just even cutting their budget further doesn't feel productive.
Further discussion. On the motion. Question?
Yep, question for is, your club enrollment right now is 28, if I'm not mistaken?
It's roughly that number, I
Roughly
believe.
that. Would you answer me what last year's might have been? If you have it off the top of your head, you don't have to, it's fine.
No, I don't have that. I
Higher,
was,
lower?
Yep.
I can help you out here. So 2023 to 2024 was 15 members. 24 to 2025 is 20 members, and then 2025 to 2026 is 25 members. And so that's the number of active members.
According to Budget Marathon presentation.
And those are the people who have been to at least one of our meetings this year, one of our regular meetings, and not just random event. It is one of our club-run meetings in the upstairs area.
Chief of Staff Peterson.
I just want to add, we did already cut them a lot of money, and I just think that cutting them an additional $950 is unnecessary. That's a very specific number. There was a reason that we gave them $1,950. We went through the budgeting philosophy and decided we wanted to fund the rental and the student labor. So I think that it is just unnecessary to take away another $950, and I will be voting against this amendment.
Further discussion on the amendment? Senator Kozma.
I think we should also mention, because I remember like on their like email list, it was like over 100 people on there. So I think cutting them would make it more difficult to raise the attendance that is raising over the years, because they won't be able to fund these events that people.
Further discussion? Do you have anything new to add?
It's
We'll have this final comment on this motion.
Again, with the, I just feel bad, I forgot your name. Where she mentioned that, there's like a need for more events to be made, and for this one to be, our amount to be sponsoring for the rental and for the paid labor. That would be just for the drag show alone, and it would not be as helpful to any future events that we would like to host or that we would seek to host. So cutting that additional $950 would be really detrimental to us and the potential for our drag show to, one, reach as many people as it does, and to be as like great as it can potentially be for other people and their experiences, for it being one of the only drag shows in town that is during the university calendar year.
All right, final comments on the motion to amend GSA's line item to read $950 and the special allocation fund to increase by 1,000. Also want to clarify this would be on both the contingency and the preferred Senator Boleg? Or would this would be on both? Okay. So again, just want to clarify, motion to amend on both contingency and preferred. This needs a majority vote. Chief of Staff Peterson, would you please call the roll?
Senators Anderson, Boleg,
Aye.
Fry,
No.
Christoffels, Sterenge,
Nay.
Foley abstains, Holland abstains, Catano,
Nay.
Lopez,
Nay.
Mollison,
Nay.
Paudel,
Nay.
Roca,
Nay.
Sharples Schmidt,
Nay.
Shrestha,
No.
Siwa Cody,
No.
Sleep,
Nay.
Smith,
Nay.
Wallen abstains, Warfa,
Nay.
Finance Chair Delovoy,
Nay.
Chief of Staff Peterson, no, Vice President Zero.
No.
All right, that did not pass. Motion does not carry. So we will continue with the original motion on the floor, being the contingency and the preferred all in one. Further amendments, motions? Senator Boleg?
Discussion, no amendment. I just want to see if we can get some talk about this, but this will be on line item, student connection and engagements. Kind of talking here with a few folks. I just want to let everyone know if we do approve this, it opens the door for more groups to request permanent student fees. This one is not just another line item with the ones above it. I'd say this is a permanent student fee increase. Let that be known. If we pass this, it doesn't go away next year. It continues indefinitely. So I just want to get some folks' thoughts on that if you had any. Just want to let that out there. I'm not making an amendment or anything formally, but yeah.
So Senator Boleg, I have a question. Is it specifically because it's going to student connection and engagement?
No, just.
So the GAF allocation.
Yes.
I will say
Curious
just
about that.
from the perspective of the finance committee, it was not the initial intent for the 18 cents to go to the Student Connection Engagement Center. It actually ended up working out backwards. So it was not specifically that we wanted the GAF increase to go to Student Connection and Engagement. You can see that in our entire month-long GAF survey that we did. This was just how it worked out numbers-wise.
Gotcha.
Senator Christoffels.
Yeah, I think another thing that's important to note for this is making it a line item that is continuous year after year just makes it something that is steady, and that's something that we were looking for with allocating this, and that would be the reason why we made it a cent in our allocation.
Finance Chair Delovoy.
Yeah, the other thing I'd say when we did this is they initially came, they asked for 19 cents. We cut them back to 18 cents, just because based on their budget and what we were looking at, what we felt was fair. But I think it is a good point that Senator Boleg brings up of this is, in theory, the last Senate that will ever discuss and vote on this item. And so I think it is just important that we just discuss that, and we ask some questions and do things like that around this, just because it is the last time in which it'd be seen by a Senate. It's not going to be something that's just voted on each year like some of these others where we can rely on future Senates to discuss stuff. So,
Dr. Willis.
I will just add a point of clarification. They will still, if this is approved, they will still come to Students Association annually, just like the University Student Union does, just like the Miller Wellness Center does, just like athletics does, and just like the School of Performing Arts does. They will still come and present and talk about the funding and how they're using it. It just won't be voted on every year.
Senator Boleg.
Question, what would be the process, say, for some reason, I know talking, it'd be really hard to get that changed if it did go continually. What is the process that would have to happen if that wanted to be reduced or increased? Obviously not taking an account for inflation and what students are paying in tuition anyways into that GAF fund.
Yeah, we typically haven't seen that.
Yeah.
That happen. method, so school performing arts is a good example. That would be similar to this, the Union Miller Wellness Center, we typically don't see them reduced. Typically, what I've seen in my 10 years here is potential new gap allocation, increases to those key services.
And Senator Boyd, just to kind of answer your question, realistically, if it would happen, it would go about the same process that we did this year. It would be a student survey, it would be task the Senate, FBC, president, vice president, and then the board. Wait, if you increase GAF.
Yeah.
Sorry. Senator Anderson.
Yeah, I think this was an important one to look at. And then just keeping in mind that if this body felt like it, we could switch them off of an 18 cent and give them the same amount that we were gonna allocate them this year. I know I was in finance committee. This is one where we had a lot of questions and there was a lot of confusion. This is kind of a new thing. So I really wouldn't be opposed to switching them off the 18 cent, giving them a cash allocation, having them come back and present. And then maybe in the future when things are more concrete, since this is a new organization, putting them onto the cent allocation. Wouldn't really be opposed to that.
Finance Chair Delahoy.
I think Senator Anderson has a good point here, just with the Student Connection Engagement Center and the Student Engagement Center not quite being concrete yet with them being new, that's something we could do and then revisit next year going to a cent allocation. I just know that for them, financially planning, it is a lot easier if they have a cent allocation. But that could be something that we easily visit and do next year if we don't feel like they're in a concrete place to move forward this year, so.
Further discussion. Senator Anderson.
Amend to make the Student Connection Engagement Center an allocation of $45,540 instead of an 18 cent GAF allocation for both budgets.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to pull the put back the 18 cents allocation, and essentially how it reads right now, it would not be a cent allocation. Since it's been motioned and seconded, Anderson, do you have any more discussion?
No, I said.
Further discussion on this amendment? Senator Christoffels.
Yeah, I think, after hearing what Senator Anderson had to say, this could be a good idea considering Student Connection Engagement Center had some, discrepancies that we talked about in Budget Marathon, just some stuff that we were confused on having them be such a new organization, and the way that they run being a little bit different than what we've been used to in the past. So I would really enjoy seeing kind of how they run as an organization for maybe a year or two before we put them on a steady budget, because being so new, they could run into things where they need more money. They could run into things where they realize they didn't quite need that much money. I know a lot of thought went into their budget, but things happen, especially when you're new, and I think it's important that we don't set anything in stone right away.
Further discussion on the amendment? All right, we will take this to a roll call vote. Again, motion to keep student connection engagement on our general budget as a line item for both contingency and preferred.
Vice President Sierra,
No.
Chief of Staff Peterson, no. Finance Chair Delahoyd,
Aye.
Senators Warfel, Wallen abstains, Smith,
Aye.
Sleep, Siwakodi, Shrestha, Sharples Schmidt,
Aye.
Roca,
Aye.
Pada,
Aye.
Mollison,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Holland abstains, Foley abstains, Derenge,
Aye.
Christoffels,
Aye.
Bry,
Aye.
Bullwig,
Aye.
Anderson.
Ayes have it, and both the contingency and the preferred will now read without pulling out that 18 cents allocation. I believe we don't really need to adjust anything on the screen because we put it in as a cash value. That'll just be voided when we get there. Further amendments on the now amended, or further motions, discussions. on the now amended general budget. No further discussion? Okay, I would like to point out now that we have to amend the original motion because we are no longer going out for an 18 cents allocation as that amendment did just pass. So I would entertain either Finance Chair Delahoy, do you amend your motion, or someone else makes a new motion to pass this? Finance Chair Delahoy.
I amend my motion to strike the second half and to only approve the budget as it is and keeping it as a now dollar allocation as voted on by the Senate instead of a cent allocation.
Motion and seconded, further discussion? Need voice vote on the amendment. We'll friendly amendment to that motion, we'll take it to a voice vote. All those in favor of amending the original motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, now motion's on the table, no further discussion. We will take this to a roll call vote.
Senators Anderson.
Aye.
Bolway.
Aye.
Bry. Christoffels. Derenge. Foley abstains. Holland abstains. Catano. Lopez. Mollison. Podell. Roca. Sharples Schmidt.
Aye.
Shrestha. Siwa Cody. Sleep. Smith.
Aye.
Wallen abstains. Warfa. Finance Chair Delahoy.
Aye.
Chief of Staff Peterson. Aye. Vice President Zero.
Aye.
The ayes have it and the amended general budget recommendation has passed. Moving on to commemoration 25-6-C, Chief of Staff Peterson, would you please introduce this item momentarily?
Commemoration 25-6-C. Title commemoration reads, the South Dakota State University Students Association celebrates the 250th anniversary of the United States. Prime sponsor includes Government Affairs Chair Hunt. Sponsors include President Spear, Vice President Sierra, Chief of Staff Peterson, Finance Chair Delahoy, Communications Chair Ringenberg, Diversity Liaison Alex, Senators Bolweg and Derenge.
Would anyone request this item be read in full? Government Affairs Chair Hunt? Requested.
Commemoration 25-6-C. Title commemoration reads, the South Dakota State University Students Association celebrates the 250th anniversary of the United States. Whereas on July 4th, 1776, our founding fathers signed the Declaration of Independence declaring our country's freedom from the United Kingdom ruled under King George. And whereas since its founding in 1881, SDSU has embodied the core values that helped shape the American higher education system. And whereas SDSU will celebrate this by engaging students, faculty, and staff in exploring the historical and cultural significance of America 250. This will be through courses, guest lectures, interdisciplinary programming, and research initiatives. And whereas South Dakota State University is committed to honoring America's legacy while preparing for the future, and it's proud to help celebrate America 250. And whereas the first of these events is the Harding Distinguished Lectureship. This event will be at the Oscar Larson Performing Arts Center on March 26th. Dr. Taylor, our lecturer, will be giving a lecture titled Horses and the Human Story in South Dakota and the American West, New Perspectives from the Ancient World. And whereas SDSU encourages its students, staff, and faculty to participate in this kickoff event and the events following. These events include the Daschle Dialogues on April 7th, a SUSA Symposium on April 10th, and the America's 250th Celebration Concert on April 11th. Therefore, be it commemorated that the South Dakota State University Students Association recognizes and celebrates America 250 and encourages all students to participate in the events our SDSU administration is offering in celebration.
Is there a motion? Finance Chair Delahoy?
I'll move to approve.
Second. Motion and second. Finance Chair Delahoy, first right to debate.
Yeah, I think this is a really well-written commemoration, and I think we should recognize America 250.
Further discussion? All right, we'll take this to a roll call vote. Chief of Staff Peterson, would you please call the roll?
Senators Anderson.
Aye.
Bolwig,
Aye.
Bry, Christoffels, Darrench, Foley abstains, Holland abstains, Cattanall,
Aye.
Lopez, Mollison,
Aye.
Podell,
Aye.
Roca,
Aye.
Sharples Schmidt,
Aye.
Shrestha,
Aye.
Siwa Cody,
Aye.
Sleep,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Wellen abstains, Warfa,
Aye.
Finance Chair Delahoyd,
Aye.
Chief of Staff Peterson, aye, Vice President Sierra.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and commemoration 25-6-C is approved. Moving on to new business, item A, resolution 25-8-R. Chief of Staff Peterson, would you please introduce this item?
Resolution 25-8-R. Title of resolution reads, the South Dakota State University's Students Association resolution to reallocate 18+ events from the Student Union to the Oscar Larson Performing Arts Center or other designated controlled access venues. Prime sponsors include Senator Bolwig and Finance Chair Delahoyd. Sponsors include Vice President Sierra, Government Affairs Chair Hunt, Diversity Liaison Alex, Senators Senators Anderson, Christoffels, Darren, Smith, and Roca.
Would anyone request this item be read in full? We will be voting on this next week as it is new business. Any procedural questions? Senator Bolwig.
Just make sure you guys can reach out to me through my email. If you have any questions with it, please read it. It's good stuff. We got a good chunk of sponsors on there right now, but it seems like we'll have a hefty debate next week, so.
Okay. Any other questions? Topics for future discussion. Are there any topics for future discussion? Any announcements tonight? Senator Roca.
Yeah, I just want to thank Dr. Willis for attending Nepal Night last night and her speech as well. I also want to thank Diversity Liaison Alex for attending as well. Thank you.
Just, Finance Chair Delahoyd?
Just so you know, I'm planning on drafting a resolution, based on what Mr. J said tonight, so if anybody else is interested, in writing that with me, just come find me afterwards.
I just have a few. The Green Bandana Project will be having a bake sale tomorrow. We have lots of cookies, lots of sweets. This is, again, to fundraise for our mental health organization. Encourage you guys to be there. Board of Regents meeting people, again, Warfa, Wallen, Holland, Sharples Schmidt, Darridge, and Foley. I need a verbal yes to Government Affairs Chair Hunt. And then also, if you did not fill out that awards thing that I sent out at 7:30, please fill it out. And then also be on the lookout for the further email about the other awards. Vice President Sierra.
Make sure you fill out that sign up genius, please, so I'm not sitting at the booth all alone tomorrow with the other people that have signed up so far. Couple hours of your time would be much appreciated. If we could get at least 2 people there at all times, that'd be wonderful. 3 might not be necessary, but it'd be better than just having 1, so. Please take some time tonight, look at your calendars, look at that form, fill it out. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Senator Bolwig.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.